Henry VIII is known for having 6 wives, 2 of whom he had executed. Some were great loves, while others were major disappointments. Today, we rank the wives of the Tudor king from least to most loved by him. While we can never know Henry VIII's feelings with absolute certainty, letters, actions, and historical records allow us to make a reasonably accurate assessment. Number 6. Anne of Cleves. Henry allegedly referred to her as a horse-faced woman from Flanders and claimed he found her unattractive. When Anne arrived in England, Henry decided to surprise her at Rochester, dressed in disguise, a gesture he had used before with other women, but it backfired. Anne didn't recognize him and showed no interest. Henry took it as a personal insult. When she was introduced to him formally later, he was deeply disappointed by her looks. He complained she didn't look like her portrait. Despite his misgivings, Henry went through with the marriage for political reasons. However, Henry never consummated the marriage. He reportedly told his physician that he could not bring himself to touch her. Anne, for her part, seems to have been confused and embarrassed, but compliant. She spoke little English and probably didn't fully grasp Henry's feelings. Within 6 months, Henry sought an annulment. Anne agreed without protest. The marriage was formally annulled in July 1540. Remarkably, Henry treated Anne very kindly after the annulment. She was welcome at court, dined with Henry's children, and remained in England for the rest of her life. Anne outlived Henry and all his other wives, dying peacefully in 1557 at about age 41. Number 5. Catherine Howard. Henry was nearly 50. She was around 17. She revived his ego and made him feel young again, but this was infatuation, not love. He showered her with gifts, jewelry, and affection, calling her his rose without a thorn. Catherine seemed affectionate in return, though historians debate whether she truly loved him or simply played the role expected of her. After marrying Henry, Catherine began an affair with Thomas Culpeper, a young, handsome courtier close to the king. The relationship was reckless and dangerous. She met Culpeper in private with the help of a lady-in-waiting. Henry was devastated. At first, he refused to believe the accusations, saying he would trust her above all women. But when presented with proof, he broke down emotionally, shouting, crying, and isolating himself. Catherine was found guilty of adultery and treason. She was executed at the Tower of London, reportedly saying before her death, "I die a queen, but I would rather have died the wife of Culpeper." Henry never saw her again after her arrest. Afterward, he sank into depression, became more paranoid, and withdrew from court life for a time. Number 4. Catherine Parr. When Henry began to show interest in her, Catherine initially resisted. But Henry was the king, and refusing him wasn't realistic. She accepted the proposal, likely out of duty rather than desire. Henry was 52, in poor health, obese, and suffering from chronic leg ulcers. Catherine became both his wife and nurse, tending to him with genuine care and patience. Henry trusted her deeply. She even acted as regent when he was abroad and helped reconcile him with his daughters Mary and Elizabeth. Late in the marriage, conservative factions at court tried to turn Henry against her, accusing her of heresy for her reformist beliefs. Henry briefly signed an arrest warrant, but when the guards came for her, she cleverly soothed him, saying she only debated theology to distract his mind from pain. Henry forgave her immediately, even comforting her afterward. Henry died in January 1547. Catherine outlived him, one of only 2 wives to do so. Number 3. Catherine of Aragon, Henry's first wife and queen for over 20 years. Their marriage began with deep affection, shared faith, and respect, but it ended in heartbreak, betrayal, and political turmoil. Catherine endured 6 pregnancies, but only 1 child survived infancy, their daughter, Mary. Henry desperately wanted a male heir to secure the Tudor line. As years passed and Catherine grew older, he began to see her as unable to fulfill that role. Henry convinced himself that his marriage to Catherine was cursed because she had been his brother's widow. He separated from Catherine, declared their marriage invalid. Catherine was stripped of her title as queen and banished to live in remote estates, all because of the next wife. Number 2. Anne Boleyn. She was young, intelligent, witty, and sophisticated, with French manners and sharp charm that fascinated everyone at court, including Henry. Unlike most women at court, Anne refused to become his mistress. Henry began writing Anne love letters filled with passion and frustration. Anne, ambitious and intelligent, saw that she could rise high if she played her cards carefully. It's impossible to overstate how powerful Anne's influence was. Henry changed the religion of an entire nation to marry her. Henry secretly married Anne in January 1533. She was crowned Queen of England in a lavish ceremony. Later that year, she gave birth, but to a daughter, the future Queen Elizabeth I, not the male heir Henry desperately wanted. Their marriage quickly soured. Anne had a strong will and temper, and Henry was used to obedience. She argued with him, criticized his mistresses, and failed to provide a son. By spring 1536, Henry was determined to be rid of Anne. Thomas Cromwell organized a case accusing her of adultery, incest, and treason. The charges were almost certainly false, but Henry accepted them eagerly. On May 19, 1536, Anne was beheaded at the Tower of London, and Henry fell in love with her lady-in-waiting. Number 1. Jane Seymour. The relationship between them was the most peaceful and, in Henry's eyes, the most perfect of all his marriages, though it was also the shortest. Henry met her while he was still married to Anne. He began sending Jane gifts and letters, but she refused to become his mistress, echoing Anne Boleyn's earlier strategy. She reportedly told him she would accept nothing less than marriage. Jane was the complete opposite of Anne, quiet, obedient, and modest rather than witty or argumentative. Henry married Jane Seymour just 11 days after Anne's execution. Their marriage was politically and personally important to Henry. Jane brought peace after years of chaos. In 1537, Jane became pregnant, and Henry was overjoyed. On October 12, 1537, she gave birth to Prince Edward, the future King Edward VI. For the first time in his life, Henry had achieved what he had pursued through 3 marriages, a male heir born of a lawful queen. Tragically, just 12 days after giving birth, Jane died from postpartum infection. Henry was devastated. He went into mourning, wearing black for months and avoiding court celebrations. He later referred to her as his true wife. Her death froze her in Henry's memory as the perfect, saintly queen, the one who had given him everything he wanted and taken nothing in return. Many believe it was karma for what he did to his second wife, Anne Boleyn, who was executed. Click here to uncover the full story.